good morning.
Good morning.
All right, that's what we like. So, another jazz camp press conference. It's been a long time. Anybody been here for 16 years? Can I see a show of hands? Any 16-year people? Any 15-year people? Okay, Calvin, you're getting old. 10-year people. One-year people. First-year people. First-year people, stand up, please. Oh, my gosh. Now, let me ask you, first-year people, have the people that's been here, have they been treating you good and nice and being real courteous? Yes? Okay, good. All right. Y'all can sit down. Okay, people that's been here from 2 to 5 years, stand up. This is your second year and you've been here. Okay. So I want you to do one more thing for me, all of you. I would like you to say welcome to our guest and to the faculty, the way you do it at a party and at 3 o'clock in the day. Okay, good. Okay, I'm not going to talk too long today. I'm just going to talk about how happy we are that you are here and what a privilege it is to have the faculty that we have teaching you. But what's really special is, aside from us that work here, the other people sitting on that podium are people that support you in this endeavor. And they do it not because it's directly rewarding to them. They do it because they believe in you, they care about you, and they love you. And they want to see you succeed. And what that does is it makes the world a better place, but it certainly keeps New Orleans on the map, and it keeps us growing here in this city. You know, it's jazz camp now. There's so many here. It's the norm for summer activity in this city, but I guess maybe 16 years ago, 20 years ago, that didn't exist. If you were to ask most of these instructors, except for Calvin and Greg, that's sitting on the podium, if you asked them if they ever attended a jazz camp, they're going to tell you no, that phenomena didn't exist when they were studying music. So you are living in a very important time. And you are living in a time that people understand the importance of jazz and jazz education and arts education in the lives of young people. All of these things happen, as I mentioned, because people care about you. And we're in a new location this year. We had been in Nelson for 15 years. But this year, we're at Loyola, New Orleans, which is a very prestigious and well-known university all over the United States and all over the world. It took one phone call to one man to make this happen. Now, there was a lot of work for us getting here, but when I called him to discuss the possibilities of us moving here, there was no question. He didn't ask us how much money we had, nor did he mention any obstacles that could stand in the way of us being here. He immediately went to work to make this happen. And he is here today representing the university. His name is John Schneider. He's a professor and coordinator of music industry studies here at Loyola. He's a producer. I think most of you have seen some of the videos of jazz icons that he has produced, and he's produced a number of recordings and documentaries. John Schneider.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie. Welcome, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be talking to you today. It's really an honor to welcome you in partnership of the celebration of the camp and the collaboration with Loyola University. I'd also like to thank the Thelonious Monk Institute for their involvement and participation, as well as Loyola's Jazz Studies program under the direction of John Mahoney. We have many things to celebrate today. The presence of these young people on this campus, number one, the presence of their esteemed faculty, number two, and the music of America that was born in this beautiful city, and the genius of Louis Armstrong, a man who I better get rid of my cell phone, huh? A man who taught us that, oh, that's not my cell phone. Well, Louis Armstrong taught us that was a great genius, and he taught us the power of one person to make the world a better place, and that's a remarkable occurrence. And so we are here to celebrate that as well as your presence. On a personal note, I can say that I probably would not be standing here if it was not for Louis Armstrong. My mom took me to a concert of his when I was 10. And I knew then what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to play trumpet, and I did do that for 20 years. But it wasn't the trumpet at first that got me. It was the joy. It was the joy in his smile, in his eyes, and in the music. And I knew I wanted that joy. And so I've made a determined effort to try to acquire it. And I'm so happy that you're here to try to acquire the same thing. All of us in this room have, in some way, dedicated our lives to the music that Louis Armstrong practically invented. Through the efforts of the Louis Armstrong Camp and its legendary faculty, we feel confident that the next Louis Armstrong will emerge from this powerful group of young people. On behalf of Loyola University and Dean Boomgarden, who's the Dean of the College of Music and Fine Arts, I'd like to welcome you and thank you very much for gracing us with your presence. We're so happy that you're here, and we look forward to
Thank you, John. The next person, I know, did you raise your hand up when we started asking for years involved, is Sybil Morial. She's known as the First Lady of New Orleans. Her husband is a former mayor, Dutch Morial, and her son, Mark Morial, is a former mayor of New Orleans. I can't say every, but she supports causes, I would say many, many causes that helps make the city a better place. I don't ever remember calling her. She's another one, when you call her, she never says no. So she's here today to support you. She's been doing it for quite some time. Ms. Morial.
Thank you, Jackie. Good morning and welcome to the students, to the faculty and staff, and important day's guests, to our guests, and to the press. I'm happy to be here. My family's been involved with this camp since its inception in 1995. My son Mark and Jackie Harris created the program while he was mayor of the city. In 1999, the New Orleans Arts and Cultural Host Committee decided to apply for nonprofit status so that we could raise money for the camp. 16 years later, now, I'm still involved and more determined than ever to see this project remain a reality for New Orleans youth and for any student who wishes to participate in this program. We, the Board of Directors, are very proud of what the instructors and staff have and continue to accomplish. I'm most proud of the students. Many of our alumni go on to become professional musicians, teachers, professional businessmen, and good citizens. And to you students here today, you are to be applauded as well for your interest in music, for your commitment to being here to study and learn and practice the music of our country's most prolific jazz composers. I thank my fellow board members. Those of you who are here, please stand. I see one. Thank you, Mark. Our mission is to preserve the legacy of New Orleans, to showcase the music of Louis Armstrong, our native son, and most important, to provide opportunities for our children. This camp would not be possible without our sponsors who have generously contributed to in the past and who continue to do so. And if you will indulge me, I'd like to share these important people to this camp. The Louis Armstrong Educational Foundation, the Entergy Charitable Trust Foundation, the New Orleans Arts and Cultural Host Committee, the ASCAP Foundation, Jazz Alliance International, the Ruth U. Fertel Foundation, the estate of Lionel Hampton, another jazz great, Honorable Arnold Philco, Councilman, Loyola University of New Orleans, Honorable Cynthia Hedge Morrell, Councilperson, Jeffrey Goldring, the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival and Foundation, Liberty Bank and Trust Company, Mrs. Alice McKay, Carlton Charles, David Francis, Westwind, Q Limited, Gwendolyn DeLuca, Sysgraph 2009 New Orleans Music, Bruno Intervalon, Basin Street Records, California Community Foundation, Roger Dickerson Sr., Jermaine Basil, the Jordan family, those three are faculty, and Harrah's New Orleans Casino Hotel. Let's applaud our sponsors. Thank you very much.
Okay. Talking about support, we've got someone else here. She's a first year. She's the new district council person for District A. Sent her a letter, didn't have to coax her. Responded right away saying, I'll be here. And she's here for you, young people. The Honorable Susan Guidry, District A.
Good morning. As Ms. Harris stated, I am a first year, so I identify with all you guys who stood up a little while ago. This is the first time I've ever been in office, in public office, and I'm honored that Loyola University is in my district. And I want to also recognize another one of our city council members, an at-large council member, Jackie Clarkson, has one of her representatives here, Jackie Cole. Ms. Clarkson couldn't be here, but I'm sure she wishes she would. She loves the arts and loves music and would love to see all of your faces today, I'm sure. I just will say for a moment that I hope you understand how fortunate you are to live in this great city, a city that created Louis Armstrong, Kid Jordan, Winston Marsalis, so many other great, great musicians that right here are right here at our doorstep, and their legacies are a part of what makes New Orleans what it is. And as a matter of fact, it was the city of New Orleans who started this jazz program, as Miss Morial was just stating. Her son was mayor when it started. And so this city holds a richness to it that when you get older and you go and you visit other places, you will find that richness doesn't exist as much elsewhere as it does here, because we have a combination of a beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful people, and people who have a culture and a history that's ingrained in them. It's ingrained in all of you. And that's why you've picked up those instruments and used them, and that's why you kick up your feet and dance just when you hear music, because you're part of the fabric of this city that is so rich in music and in dance. So I hope that you understand that, and I hope you carry that with you, and that you will always be a person who goes out into the world and tells the world about our great city. I know that a lot of you have worked very, very hard to get here. I know that you had to be practicing for, I believe it was 2 years before you even qualify. And so I know you have the diligence and the dedication to make the most of this camp and get the most out of it. And I think that's just wonderful. I would like to present today a proclamation from our city council and our city. And I would like to present the proclamation to Jackie Harris, who is the executive director of this program, and also to Edward Kid Jordan, the artistic director. If you will, could you come up here and join me? And it's in our favorite colors, purple, green, and gold. And it reads as follows. A New Orleans City Council proclamation. Whereas the city of New Orleans is renowned for its food, festivals, famous citizens, and foreign visitors, and whereas the City Council takes great pride in paying tribute to events and activities, now therefore be it proclaimed by the City of New Orleans that this council recognizes 2010 Louis Satchmo Armstrong Summer Jazz Camp. Thank you. Thank you. My honor. Thank you all, and have fun.
Okay. The next person is, now when you talk about cheerleaders, this is a cheerleader. Everywhere she goes, she talks about Louis Armstrong and the Louis Armstrong Summer Jazz Camp. She's worked with every noted jazz artist in the United States of America. Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Benny Goodman, Wynton Marsalis, Wycliffe Gordon, Kid Jordan, Marlon Jordan, Jonathan Bloom, Calvin Johnson, Gregory I.G., Jermaine Basil. See, that list never stops, because she never stops. When people call her to say, well, we want to do a documentary on you, or we want to do X, Y, and Z, she says, oh, I have no time for that. And they say, well, why, Ms. Jacobs? She says, because I've got work to do. And her work is supporting you, young people. So she's here today. She's another 16-year veteran of the Louis Armstrong Jazz Camp. And so, Ms. Jacobs,
You know, you don't believe a thing that she told you. She just wants to make me feel good. I'm so happy to be here. In fact, at my age, I'm happy to be any place. But you guys are so special. You're so dear and important to me. I was told I shouldn't even try to fly from New York. It's dangerous to be away from home. I mean, not many people could understand that. But Jackie said she needs me. I don't know why, but she needs me, and I'm here. I'm proud to be here, proud to be meeting you again, watching you grow. You guys have the whole world in hand. You can be anything you want to be, but promise me you're going to do what you love. And if music is your love, you're very powerful. Because I worked for 9/11, are you aware of what happened in New York when 2 World Trade buildings were knocked down by the terrorists? There were firemen and policemen that were in shock, brought to hospitals. And they found out by using music, they could help treat them. They could help them with their shock, with their nervousness, with their hypertension. So you guys are powerful. You're learning music. Music is magic. You can make a lot of wonderful things happen. Enjoy it yourself. Not everybody will be a star, but you certainly can be something and enjoy life with your music. God bless you all. I love you all. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
So you guys know what a firecracker is, right? Makes plenty noise. It pops. You see it, you hear it, and it's right on it. Well, that's Miss Miller. I call her my firecracker. She is, I guess, the last of the people that started the music in Harlem during the Savoy Ballroom days, the Lindy. She goes all over the world. She came here from California. She's going to Sweden. She leaves here on Saturday. She goes to Miami. She takes a flight out to Sweden. She probably goes to about 4 continents, 5 continents per year. but she won't take anything that conflicts with her being here for jazz camp. And she is on the ball. Ms. Miller?
Hey, listen, it has to start somewhere, and this is how it starts. And I come here because the fact that you are playing the music that I love, the music that I was dancing to all my life. I love New Orleans because New Orleans swing, and my life is swing. And I'm so fortunate this year in New York in August, we're gonna take my first big jazz show back to the Apollo Theater where it all started. And so this is gonna be the first thing this year. And Jackie and I have been talking, and we're hoping that 2011, when I go back to Harlem, I'm gonna take Louis Armstrong back to Harlem, and we're gonna take the band that you created here. So if I'm successful in 2010, well, we're gonna go into New York strong we're taking Louis Armstrong back to the Apollo Theater. So that's my ambition. You know. Thank you. Anyway, don't forget, we're going to do a great show. It's always a blast. And somehow or other, with all the problems we have, somehow or other it comes together. And it's because of you. Because without you, there is no future. You are the future. I'm on my way out, and you're on your way in. And it's going to be wonderful. At least when I leave here, we know jazz is in good hands. Hello.
I told you. Now we got another firecracker of a different sort here, too. How many of you started off in Mr. Jordan's class? Let me see a show of hands. Okay. So you take that number, you go back to 1995, then you go back past that, and that's the number of young people whose lives he's affected in teaching them jazz music. Now, you know Mr. Jordan is the messenger, so you don't always like the messenger and what the messenger has to say. But he loves you. I know sometimes that's hard to believe, but he really does. And he pushes you to get the best out of you, and you always do exceptionally well. So he's here. He's been here 16 years too. Mr. Jordan.
Good morning. The firecracker has been shot. It's all gone. But this year, I heard some of the bands play. It sounded good. But you got to sound better Friday night. What is it, Friday? Yeah. All right, you got to sound better Friday night. And hopefully, those of you who come back next year, you got to sound 10 times better than that. And the only way you can do that is through what? How many days a week? Every day. Yeah, y'all say that. That's easy to say. Anybody can say that every day. You think I believe that? I've been in it too long for that. I know better than that. My people don't want to even put up with me practicing every day. My daughter Rachel told me yesterday, yeah, we're leaving, so you're going to be able to practice all day. I said, good. When y'all leave, then I'll do it. But nevertheless, believe me, everybody you see on the stage, they practice. I don't say they practice every day, but they practice, and they have practice in their life. And believe me, anybody who know me, I have practice, and I'm still practicing. I came here this morning with about 8 or 9 mouthpieces, trying to find out which one. Some people say, man, you should have found the right mouthpiece by now. I doubt if that will ever happen, because I'm always trying to improve the sound. I'm trying to do something else and what have you. So that's what musicians do, if you're going to be a musician. Now, everybody's not going to be a musician. The main thing we want you to do is be good citizens. But one thing music will do for you, it will enable you to have a beautiful thought process where you can go into other things and do very well. In fact, I was supposed to be a mathematician. When I went to college, they called me down for about the whole first semester for me to major in math. And they didn't know the only reason why I was dealing with math, because I understood how music, I knew how quarters and eighths, and then I brought it on to another level. So music is really math when you get down to it. That's why I'm trying to get some of you all now to play 8 notes right and 16 notes right. Because if you understand math and music, then you can do very well. Some people play music what we call by ear. You have to develop your ear in order to do some things. But a lot of people read music. And I've made more money reading music, playing in shows and bands and different kinds of things, than the majority of the people make standing up soloing. Like some people say, man, we didn't know you could solo. I said, I don't have to solo. I'm making money reading. And believe me, people are still making money reading. Every now and then I'll go out and do a show, but that's been my past life. I'm doing something else now. But I have done it, and if I have to do it again, I'll do it. But the number one thing, we want you to get a musical education, and that will enable you to do all them other things that you think you have to do. Because music is very difficult when you get out of the beginning stages. There's all kinds of different levels. So when you set your heart on saying, I'm going to be a musician, you better set your heart on some serious practice and some serious heartaches, too. Music brings on heartaches. It's just like love. Some of y'all haven't fallen in love yet, but music is like love. It brings on heartaches, believe me. All right. So if anybody want to ask me a question before I introduce the faculty, ask me now. Any of the kids want to ask me a question? And I've been relatively low this year. I haven't had to put anybody out yet. I really haven't had to scream at anybody. But I've been in my room quite a bit working with the people that I'm working with, because I'm trying to get them to be able to do the fundamental things. We're not talking about jazz, we're talking about fundamentals. There's a lot of people who want to play jazz. There's a lot of jazz musicians. I've seen people that had 10 records out, and I could put them in a remedial class with fundamentals, just regular fundamentals. Believe me. So once you deal with fundamentals, I got up this morning dealing with whole notes and breath and embouchure and all of that. That's fundamentals. You never get any better than your fundamentals. And that's the thing that carry you to the other level, fundamentals. Anybody got a question you want to ask? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Some of y'all might be too scared to ask a question. All right, now I'll introduce the faculty. We have Calvin Harrison Johnson. He's been with us as a student, and now he's a part of the faculty. Gregory I.G., stand up when I introduce you so that people can see who you are. Calvin, you didn't stand up. All right. Alonzo Bowens. That's right. Jermaine Basil. Peter Cho. Mickey Davidson. Kent Jordan. Marlon Jordan. Jonathan Bloom. Brian Quizaire. Maynard Chatters. Darrell Levine. Clyde Kerr. And, well, that's all the rest of the faculty. I was just supposed to introduce the faculty. I think that's all of the, who's that? Herman Jackson and Roger Dickinson. And we have a part-time guitar teacher, Gary Hewlett. In fact, I didn't let him know that we were supposed to do it. It just got by me. But nevertheless, that is the faculty. All right. Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Well, each year we bring in a national artist in residence, and this year that person is Wycliffe Gordon. He just got off the airplane, actually spent the night in Atlanta, so he would be here on time this morning. Boy, you made it. I've known Mr. Gordon for quite some time. We met in New York. He's a former member of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra. He performs with the Wynton Marsalis Septet. He also performs all over the world. We went to South Africa together. I think we must have gone to about 3 or 4 countries in about 5 days, but you know, it was a great experience for us. He just finished a tribute to Oscar Micheaux for the U.S. Postal Service for the issuance of their stamp. We can go on and on and on. I always say he plays the trombone like it's a trumpet. It's like there's no slide in his trombone playing. He is, I would say, right now, besides Maynard, one of the premier jazz artists and definitely trombone players in the world. Wycliffe?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good. Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here. When Ms. Harris told me about the press conference this morning, I didn't know it's going to be sitting on a panel with such esteemed guests, you know. So I'm happy to be here as an artist for many reasons. I don't have a speech planned. I just want to share a few words with you about what it means for me to come here to do this camp. I'd heard about it for several years. And growing up, I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from Georgia. But I got touched by New Orleans through, you know, the food here is great. The music here is great. And it was the music. When I was 12 years old, I heard a recording of, had a great aunt to pass, and there was a 5-record collection set of jazz music. And I didn't grow up in a household where there was jazz. I grew up in a household where my father studied classical music, classical piano. I heard Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, that kind of thing. But practically, he played in church. So my experience in music was gospel music. So when I had a great aunt to pass, amongst the things that were given to the family was this 5-record collection set of jazz music. My first time hearing jazz. And of all the sides, it went from the early slave chants to 10 sides of what was modern jazz, ragtime, this and that. And the music that kind of stuck with me was the music of New Orleans. And one tune in particular, it was the Keyhole Blues by none other than Louis Armstrong, Hot Fives and Hot Sevens. And there was a couple of brass bands, one group playing when the Saints go marching in. And there was something about this music in New Orleans. And at age 12 or 13, I didn't really know how to explain it. I didn't have the terminology for it. I just knew that I liked it. It sounded good. It felt good. And there was something that was just kind of joyous about it. And it was during the time when, as a teenager, the popular groups during that time was like Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Popular rock group was Kiss, and that's what all the teenagers did. We listened to the pop music of the music that was popular of our era. But I'd always go back into the garage and listen to this music of New Orleans. Now I'll check the other music out also, like the modern jazz, the what was modern for that compilation, like Sonny Rollins, Sonny Moon for Two. I dug that. But something about the New Orleans music, the tuba, the trombone, the trumpet, clarinet, and on that, the piano, and in the absence of it, the banjo. Something about the music just grabbed me. And oftentimes, friends, as I later went on to college and began to play and study music, a lot of my friends thought that I was from New Orleans. Like, no, I'm not from New Orleans, but there was something about the music that I loved, and particularly the music of Louis Armstrong. So to be invited to this camp to come teach as an artist in residence, first of all, I feel privileged to do so, simply because of what he meant. Louis Armstrong being the ambassador, the music of New Orleans being the place from where the music was born and birthed. Meeting cats like Marlon, Kent, I met them. I'm just meeting the dad, kid, Jordan Day, Norma Miller, to sit up here on the panel with her. I was trying to figure out where I last saw you. I think it was at the dedication of the grave site for Frankie Manning. I think I saw you there, but anyway. So, and when I was doing research on swing dance, I read about you in several books, and it's just a pleasure once again to be here with you. But back to my regularly scheduled presentation. Let's see, to do this music, it means so much than probably most of you are going to realize right now. And it's fun, it's a camp, you're going to have fun, you're going to go back to your schools, and I hope that you go back as, sort of leaders or section leaders or ambassadors for this camp or ambassadors for your experience here. And I hope that you have a great experience, and I like to think that if you don't, then it's your fault. So you have great teachers, and if you look for the good in something, then that's exactly what you'll find. And I'm just reminded of how great I felt and how great I still feel. I was listening to some of the music of Louis Armstrong, even with my travel woes yesterday on the plane this morning, and the music, what we call jazz, particularly the jazz that was born here in this city. I finally got a chance to come here when I was my sophomore or junior year in college. And I was driving through, and I said, I wanted to go on Bourbon Street. I wanted to go about the places that I heard about through the music. I didn't look at a map, and I got something to eat, something to drink, and I was like, wow, it was really nice. And I was just here for less than 3 or 4 hours, but I always wanted to come back, and I've always felt some kind of kinship with this city. And as several others said earlier, the power in this music from Miss Jacobs, I've known her since I first came to New York, and I thought that no one could love Louis Armstrong, the music of Louis Armstrong, more than I do, and she does. I'm reminded of a city when she talks about how powerful you can be as musicians, whether you're teaching, whether you're playing, whether you're performing, or whether you're doing something as simple as turning somebody on to it. Louis Armstrong went to Africa on a State Department tour. I'm not sure if you talked about this here when you start talking about the history of him as an ambassador. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. There's a video clip of him singing Black and Blue. And if you can, get some insight into that video clip. Just weeks before, there was a war going on. Two nations in Africa, they were at war, killing one another. And they called a truce to attend this concert of Louis Armstrong. Now, that says something about the power of music and the power of how music can affect the people. And even though we're sitting here in the camp, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to have camp, and we're going to play music, and we're going to play a concert Friday night, it doesn't stop there. And whether you decide to be conscious in your efforts or not, it doesn't really matter. I wasn't conscious when I heard that recording of Louis Armstrong. I didn't know that I would become a jazz musician. I just knew I was doing something that I liked, and something else that Ms. Jacobs said, do something that you love. It's important to do that. People say, when are you going to slow down? When are you going to do such and such? Slow down for what? I look forward to going to work. Even though everything was not so good with the flight coming here, I look forward to being here. I look forward to spending the week in New Orleans. I look forward to sharing with you. And like Mr. Jordan said, he wants you, we got to get it together by Friday night. That's what we're going to do. Those of you all coming back next year, you're going to sound 10 times better. That's what we're going to do. He's talking about growth and development. Everything he said about basics and fundamentals, it's all important. It may sound a little boring, but 4 or 5 years from now, just check yourself out and see where you were, see where you started and where you are during that time. And if you're making a progression, that's great. And if you're not, then start doing it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you this week. Wycliffe Gordon.
You know, I think the last time Louis Armstrong played in New Orleans, he didn't play here too much. He came in 49, and he was on a King Zulu float. But I saw Louis Armstrong at Loyola's Field House. I think that was the last time he played here. Loyola had a field house over there. People don't know that. And I went to a concert across the street at Tulane where we had what kind of concert? An electronic concert. Harry Porch was down here that day. We came down, there was some out music. I've been dealing with all kinds of music all my life. And I left that concert and then came over to listen at Pops. And I think that was his last time here in the field house. Phoebe, am I right about that? How many times did he play here? Not too many, did he? 3 times after he was at the Zulu Parade. Zulu Parade? But that was the last time I know. He played over in the field house that day. Yeah, probably, that's right, in the 50s. At the field house. All right, so that is historic. He was here at this university that y'all studying at. Thank you.
Okay. Stand up, Mr. Burns. Okay, thank you. We would also like to recognize members who are representing members of the New Orleans City Council. Councilmember Guidry mentioned Jacqueline Cole. Tina Matoya, representing Councilmember Cynthia Hedge Morrell. Anyone else? Emily Jensen? Okay, Councilmember Arnold Felco, thank you. Okay, did I forget or leave anything out? Yes, ma'am? Definitely. I also would like to acknowledge Miss Rebecca Lebowitz. Ms. Lebowitz traveled from New York to be here. Mrs. Lebowitz is the former assistant superintendent of Hempstead, Long Island School District. Ms. Lebowitz wrote a grant, which is a national grant, to the 21st Learning Center to start a Louis Armstrong Jazz Camp in Hempstead, New York, which will begin August 2nd, and it will go through August 20th. 4 of our instructors will be working with New York instructors in Hempstead, Long Island. Ms. Lebowitz, would you stand, please? Yes, ma'am. We can. In the years to come, we would love to have a student exchange. So that means everyone who practices every day, 2 hours each day, may have the opportunity to represent the Armstrong Jazz Camp in Hempstead. And so, you know, that's not out of the realm of possibilities, because we had 6 students here just 2 years ago from Chicago. So we could possibly send some of you to New York. But what do you have to do to go to New York? Practice. How often? Every day. How many hours? How many hours are you practicing now? 3 days or 3 hours per day? Every night? Now, this is a man that practices 3 hours a day. I know he does. Who else? Any 2-hour practice? Come on, raise your hand high. Be proud. Okie dokie. All right, I think that's it. Any questions? Oh, Wednesday, unfortunately, it's not for students. I know, huh? Don't worry, you'll be grown soon. I thought the day would never come. Now I'm old. Okay. On Wednesday at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 10, there is a fundraiser for jazz camp at the Republic, New Orleans. Who's hip to the Republic? Have you been to the Republic? Who's been to the Republic? Uh-oh. How old are you? What? How you got to the Republic? You what? Oh, okay, all right, okay. Because they told me they check IDs over there. That's why I want to know how y'all ended up at the Republic. But anyway, the annual fundraiser is at the Republic this Wednesday night from 7 to 10. A group of the alumni band will be performing, Calvin and Greg, Brian Kazare. The rest of them, they too old to play with the alumni band. Just the young people can play with the alumni band. I don't know, Brian and Calvin and Greg, y'all getting kind of old too. We have to. But also the faculty will be performing in different combo settings, along with the artist in residence will participate. Ms. Miller will serve as the mistress of ceremony, and Wycliffe will be performing with other members of the faculty. And you all, what happens Friday? You don't sound excited. Are you excited? Yes. How many people know their parts? That's a short hand there. Okay. And you will practice how much? Every day. For? Okay. Any questions of anyone? Uh-oh, Mr. Jordan got you again. Come on.
Yeah, I want you to tell them to tell their parents to come out to the fundraiser Wednesday night. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we need support. We need parental support at the fundraiser. I think we sent the invitations home, didn't we? Okay. I'd like to acknowledge the staff of Jazz Camp, Khalid Hafiz, Lennox Davis, Charles Hancock, Tina Dixon Williams, Marge Salser, our photographer, J.R. Thomas, Joni Bloom, sitting high and looking low. Okay. Erica Norman, our PR director. Loyola staff that's been working with us, Schneider, Holly Wallace from the Monk Institute, Alice McKay, and Susan Devins. Okay, what time is it, please? Malik, is he here? Oh, okay, and Malik Shabazz, y'all know Malik, right? Okay. What time is it, please? Okay. So back to the classrooms. We want, can we get a group? Miss Jacobs, a photo, please, a group photo. Okay.